Hello and welcome to the Underhive. We are back with some more patch notes, but in this case, we are looking at the New World patch notes, update 1.0.1. So servers have gone down 15-20 minutes ago. To be honest, I don't know why I've got them on, so I don't need them. But yeah, servers have gone down about 20 minutes ago for 4 hours, so I thought, why not? Let's take a look at the patch notes. So grab yourselves a drink and we will talk through these. Greetings, adventurers. What a week it has been. We're humbled and honoured by the amount of adventurers that have begun to make their mark on Aeternum. Last week, we shared our top priority was ensuring that everyone could log in and play quickly without having to wait for queues. Obviously, queues are a big issue. Some servers and some regions more than others, but I think it's fair to say nobody escaped the touch of queues unless you logged in off-peak times, like say first thing in the morning, and was playing all day. To accomplish that, we more than doubled the number of available servers, increased server capacity on existing servers, and are continuing to work on a feature that will allow players to transfer their character to different servers, which will soon be available. Now, I don't know if they're going to... I haven't read this yet, so I don't know if they're going to cover more about that. I'd be interested to know what transfers with you. We were talking about this earlier on in our our company Discord, and I don't know how they're going to deal with like moving all your inventory over. If you're not going to get all of your inventory from all the various towns, I don't know if many people will do it, to be honest, because if you've got to level 30, level 40, you're not necessarily going to want to switch over and lose a ton of, star metal, silk, everything like that you perhaps can't take with you. While members of our team are working tirelessly on ensuring players can find a server to call their long-term home with a character transfer feature, other members have worked on a few additional quality of life updates and bug fixes to ensure that once players have entered Aeternum, they'll be able to play and progress as intended. We'll continue to work on server transfers, bug fixes, and other issues in future updates. Thanks for your reports on the New World forums. So, general changes. We've implemented the groundwork for character server transfer, and you may see elements of that in the in-game store. We're continuing to work on this feature, and we'll have more information on how the system works later this week when we release the server transfers. I feel like this could be a paid feature in the future. Just with a mention in the store, like I didn't know that's how you were going to go about it. Obviously, WoW has paid server transfers, so it's not unreasonable for them to charge. I do think this early in the game, they wouldn't for this reason, like they're doing this as corrective action. But I wonder how long away it will be that we pay for server transfers in the store. I don't see people doing that often because of the way the game works. But you may see like a whole faction transfer a whole company transfer if they're not happy with where they are and maybe want to just have a better standing in another area, perhaps another server. Changes to War. Change turret projectiles in War from physical projectiles to hit scan detection. This should help performance in War, with fewer objects being spawned in the world. So I understand that from a performance perspective, because when we were fighting in the wars, our commander had suggested we turn down to low, even if you're on a high spec machine, which mine's not the highest spec, but it's pretty good. And now I haven't had any issues with losing frames in the wars. But as I say, for the second one that I've took part in, I did reduce it to low. For the first, I wasn't as up in the action because I was a healer at that point. But I didn't have any issues at all, didn't seem to drop any frames, so it was all around pretty good. As far as making them hit scan, if they haven't also tweaked anything else about them, that does make them a lot stronger. Part of the issue with the siege weapons is you're set back from the objective capture zones, and with the travel time, hitting somebody running to the point isn't straightforward easy. Like it's easy enough to do once you've got your eye in, but it's not like a guaranteed hit like a hit scan is. So if they've not made them any weaker to counterbalance that, I think they're making the siege weapons overly powerful in the scope of the war, and it becomes then less reliant on the build. It's kind of like, well, we need some healers, we need some tanks, and we will need a few floating DPS, but otherwise, if we're short of players, just get anybody in and sit them on a siege tower. particularly for your defense. For your offense, it's a bit different. The offense, of course, very difficult. I'm not aware of any war being won by the attacking side as yet. Certainly doesn't happen or hasn't happened on our server, but I haven't seen anywhere that that has happened because, of course, the odds are stacked in the defender's favour. So although this probably applies to both sides, I still think with the height advantage being up on the walls, this still benefits the defenders more than the attackers. AFK prevention. So this has been a real big one. So in an effort to ensure players can't stay AFK, especially in high population servers, we've made the following adjustments to the AFK prevention system. Added additional AFK prevention to ensure players cannot fool the existing system with simulated mouse movement. Shortening the AFK warning message from 20 to 15. Shortening the AFK disconnect from 25 to 20. So for me, they're fighting this from two sides, I think. Now, the first thing you've got to consider is that this problem is of their creation. People want to play the game. I don't think anybody is AFKing because they want to hold a place in the server and stop anybody else playing. It's because they want to go and eat their food, or they need to do a thing and they're going to be away more than 20 minutes or 15 minutes now. And as a result, they would get kicked back to the queue where they wouldn't get another chance to play that day. So on one hand, I understand that they are depriving somebody else that queue when they would rightfully be kicked out as per the game mechanics. But on the other hand, if the queues weren't super huge, people would be doing it less, which would shorten the queues, and then people would do it even less, and so on and so forth. So the fact that they've added more servers in is working towards that. The fact they're allowing server transfers is working towards that. I think this is a little bit early to chuck that in, personally. I'd like to hear what you think on that, whether this is the right move or the wrong move. But I think if they actually extended the AFK window and then just made it like an immediate kick out if it's recognised that you're macro in or something like that, then maybe it could go down a harsher punishment route if they keep continuing. But just say 30 minutes. If you've been deemed as AFKing for that 30 minutes, you're gone. And then maybe you could appeal it if you go, well, no, I was literally just running in a straight line, like legitimately. So yeah, I think the issue comes from the fact that it's such a short window and such a big queue that you're heavily incentivizing people to do it. And 15 minutes isn't that long a time. Anything could come up and take you 15, 20 minutes and not warrant the punishment of a 6-hour queue to get back in. You could lose your place in a war for that. You could end up a day of progress behind the rest of your company or the rest of your friends. So the incentive to manipulate the system is really there. And I don't think players could do anything to avoid that incentive to do it. On the other hand, people AFKing for like 8 hours, so they queue in the morning, AFK for 8 hours while they're at work, and then come back and play it. I don't agree with that in the slightest. A short amount of time, say half an hour, completely fair enough. But 8 hours is really unfair to somebody because you're literally taking somebody out of the game. Maybe they want to, maybe their friends are already in the game. They wanted to join them. They can't because you're there, and you're not enjoying it yourself even because you're away at work or something. I don't think that's appropriate, and I agree with the changes to combat that. But I think this is a bit of a scattershot approach to it. World Queue. We asked a confirmation screen when a player... Sorry, we added a confirmation screen when a player attempts to leave the queue for a world, asking the player to confirm if they're intending to leave the queue. This should help to ensure nobody accidentally leaves the queue and misses out in their spot in line. Yeah, I mean, that's a nice quality of life. I think that's happened to a few people. Like I say, I've for the days that I've been off, I've been able to log in of a morning, and then when I've had to queue, I've queued. There's been a long queue, but it is what it is. Generally, I just set it and forget it. Keep coming back every 20 minutes just to make sure you haven't suddenly shot up to the front. And get in when you get in. Bug fixes. Now, I've had my fair share of these, so hopefully they've covered some of the ones that I've experienced. Fixed a rare issue causing the interact key to not properly function on various objects in the world. Yes, I've had that in a few different ways. So sometimes with nodes for resources, if you walk off just as it completes the gather, it won't actually visually change the node. It'll still look like there's, you know, a big lump of iron there, but there isn't, because you have collected the resource, you have picked that up. So then you'll go back to it and you can't interact with it again. Now, I've seen it where I haven't been the one to collect from that node, but then when I walk up, you press E and nothing happens. So I don't know if that is caused by that, but I have caused it to happen for myself, where I can see that there is a node there, big lump of iron. I know I've already taken the iron from it, and when I go up, I can't collect anymore. So maybe that would be why that's happening with resource nodes. But there has been issues with people that wanted to get into a war, had the place in the war secured, or at the very least were going to be a solid backup if there were disconnects, and then they just couldn't interact with the warboard at all, sort of within an hour of the war. So that, of course, is pretty important. You don't want to be short defenders because of, you know, a bug in the game and then lose your region. Fixed an issue causing the barrels not to appear in pirate stance emote. I see. Because I thought you were supposed to just walk up to something sort of knee high and do it there, like maybe get a, you know, a crouching other player and stick your foot up on them. So I didn't realise there was supposed to be a barrel in there, because yes, that is definitely missing. Probably would look better with that. Fixed an issue where players did not receive coins as a reward from some activities. I can't say I've noticed that. I've made a decent amount of money. Nothing stupid, but, you know, enough to do what I need to do. Don't feel like I've missed out on that. I've received the money for the wars and things that I'm aware of, so yeah, not a big one for me. Fixed a bug where interrupting the fast travel animation may cause player's character to become stuck inside a house. So I don't think that that's necessarily the only way that happens. It might be, for all I know, but we did have a company member that happened to the other day. There are also issues of getting stuck in the inn when you speak to the innkeeper, whether it be for a quest or to sign in. I have been stuck in the game and had to relog. Nothing worked, not at all. I will say as well, one that it's not strictly a bug, but I thought it was at first. I got stuck in alt mode. You know, like if you hold alt, you'll get free cam, and your WASD will stay in fixed direction, so it's not dependent on where you're looking. Sometimes if you like alt tab into the game, alt tab out, you know, check a Discord message, then alt tab back in. It will stick with the alt on, and there's nothing wrong with my keyboard. It's a pretty new keyboard. It's not like the alt key stuck down or anything. But if you get that, you can just press alt, and it will sort itself out when you let go. So yeah, not strictly a breaking bug, but I don't think that's supposed to be how it functions, because the alt key wasn't depressed, but the effect was occurring. Fixed a bug. Oh yeah, we've read that one. So yeah, interrupting fast travel can get you stuck in a house. It's obviously a devastating bug because you have to quit to the queue, so you don't want that. Fixed an issue with territory standing rewards where some localized text was missing. Can't say I've noticed that, but I imagine English language was probably already fine. Fixed an issue where players are asked to claim achievement titles multiple times after logging back into the game, despite already having claimed these rewards. That's been persistent since beta. I remember pretty much every time I logged in, I got like 10 achievements, 10 titles, same ones as last time I logged in, or some of them that I've already got, and some that sort of repeat. Well, in fact, all of them that I've already got, but some that have been repeated every time, and some that are just intermittently repeated. It's not the most annoying thing. I'm glad to hear it's getting fixed, but it's not as bad as some of the others here. Fixed an issue causing leg animations to freeze. I haven't seen that one. Kind of got a bit of that myself in real life. I've got a bad knee, but that's not not something I've seen in game. One thing I will say is the I don't know whether we're going to get to it in a minute. I don't know whether it's covered, but the over encumbrance sometimes bugs out, and you can move at basically full speed, but you kind of shuffle along weirdly like that. So yeah, I don't know if that's going to be on here further down, but hopefully that gets fixed soon. Because it's just awkward. You just have to drop some stuff and then you be under the weight limit, and then you can interact. But while you're over encumbered in that sort of bugged way where you can still move at full speed, you can't interact with stuff. But I don't think that's the same as fixed an issue stopping you interacting with things. So, fixed game crashes related to the New World Twitch integrations. I mean, I've got it set up for Twitch Prime for the free premium currency, but I'm not doing drops or anything like that, so I couldn't really comment. But yeah, the functionality is popular, so I'm glad it's fixed. People like that. Fixed a rare issue where players could enter a state where they could not be hit by most attacks. So I've never had that, but I have had it where the basic attack for my currently equipped weapon doesn't register, despite definitely making contact with the enemy. And then with the sword, so the right side slash, left side slash, both hit the target but don't register. And then the spinning third attack does actually register, and the power attack does register, the thrust. Same goes with the axe, so the standard left-right great axe this is, so the standard sort of from the right, from the left does nothing, but any sort of power swing does work, and the abilities do work. The way to fix that I found is just switch weapons, and then switch back if you want to. That tends to sort that out. But again, it's not on here that I've seen. Fixed an issue where certain item containers could be looted indefinitely. That's obviously something they need to fix. I've not come across that, and to be honest, if I did, I wouldn't abuse it because I like the exploration. I mean, I need absolutely tons of tannin now. I've just made the layered leather bags. Made a couple of them. And I've completely run out of tannin now, so I could do with some more of that at some stage. So I'd be grateful if I could get a bit extra of that, but I wouldn't be looting indefinitely. It just ruins things. Fixed an issue where the abandoning event notification could sometimes persist after the player abandoned an event. So you walk past a portal at an hour into your run, and it'll generally be fine. But if you've been playing the game for say 3 hours, you walk past it and that's it. You're stuck with that forever. Your quests are now going to be a couple of inches lower on the screen, and that's it. You're going to deal with that for the rest of your session. Again, it's not game breaking, not the end of the world. I could deal with it, but it's good to see the working on it because it was trash that was showing up. So that's the general fixes. AI fixes. Fixed an issue causing Pastor Walsh to spawn aggressively at the Walsham point of interest. Can't say I noticed. I've already done that area, but I can't say I noticed that. Fixed an issue causing enemies to spawn slower than intended in Bulrush Wash point of interest. I haven't spent a lot of time there, but fair enough. Now this one is the big daddy. I think I had to have about 7, maybe 8 goes at Zane, and I definitely got the hits on him. Like 6 out of 8 of those times, I definitely did enough to get the kill, but didn't get it. Eventually, we decided to group up, and another 1 or 2 later, we got it between us. So it was all right. But yeah, that's been a bit of a bottleneck. It shouldn't be as bad now on our current server because we're not accepting any. Well, the server isn't accepting any new players. So if you're around that level now, you're probably one of the sort of the back half of the server population to be at that position. So it shouldn't be as big of a bottleneck. But yeah, slower than intended. Definitely seem that way. For such a weak enemy is the point. He's like an elite essentially, but he's not an elite. So he's a must kill named enemy, but he has a tiny health pool. So like one player can solo it in like 2 or 3 hits if you're over leveled, I suppose. But like say like 5, 6 hits maybe if you throw in abilities in. Even at like level 20 odd, which is, not that over leveled for that mission. It is a bit over leveled, but not much. So yeah, I think that's quite important. That should be respawning every 3-4 minutes maximum, maybe 2. Fixed an issue where Master Zint could have duplicate respawns in Canaan Tomb. Not come across that. I think I've fought Master Zint. It rings a bell, but perhaps not. Yeah, either way. Duplicates, probably a bit immersion breaking, and I mean it'll allow you to complete the quest easier if the quest is to kill him. So I'm not that bothered that one existed, but it's a bit immersion breaking if you got 2 with the same name. So lastly, we've got quest fixes. Added missing journal information about the recommended quest for players attempting to unlock the 2nd faction rank. So yeah, it wasn't really clear about what you needed to do for that. So it's good that they've added the additional info. The other side of the coin is, I mean, you could ask anyway. It's not a big deal. I went to it overleveled anyway because I was doing other things at the time, so it wasn't a big deal for me personally, but it can be. Fixed an issue where resetting Blessings of the Earth quest when you have gained any blessings will block the progression of the main story quest. You don't want that. You don't want to block the MSQ. I don't think I've got to that point. I'm currently level 45. The next quest I need to do is set for level 40 out of the area next to Weavers, just on the right of Weavers. So, yeah, I'll probably not be up to that point yet. It doesn't ring a bell, Blessings of the Earth. Fixed an issue where the Azoth Fulminate quest will be unavailable to players if they first complete other Windsward quests. That's a bit crap. Fortunately, not an issue, because I've already done them, but fair enough. Fixed an issue where completing the quest Goodwill Squashing prevents the player from accessing the Aruda Jam quest. Again, any of these that block your quest progression, very important to fix. Hasn't affected me though, luckily for myself. Fixed an issue where the barkeep conversation state in First Light can enter a state where quests cannot be obtained from the barkeep. Yeah, I think I did have that at one point, but I just went and did something else, and when I ported back, I could. So I think a teleport can fix that maybe. But if they fixed it, good stuff. Fixed an issue where completing the Taste for Revenge quest prevents players from obtaining the Predator, Prey, and Great Expectations quest. Doesn't ring a bell for me. I think they're probably higher level. Perhaps up in that northeast section. But yeah, I don't think I've touched those yet. But again, stopping people doing quests, not a good thing. Glad they fixed it. Fixed an issue where completing Curse of the Ebony Hawk prevents you from doing Bond's Gambit. Good again. Fixed an issue where Expedition to Secor stops you from getting one threat at a time. These seem like quite end-game quests. Quite a lot of them are end-game quests, rather. Because I don't recognise the names on these ones. Fixed an issue where completing Expedition to Secor. Oh, yeah, we've read that. Fixed an issue where completing Strength of the Earth prevents you from obtaining Fading Lights and Azure Tears. Fixed an issue where completing Twisted Metamorphosis prevents you obtaining Blessings of the Fallen. And where completing Facets of Light and Darkness prevents you from obtaining the Descent to Frosted Slumber and Transmuting Iron to Dust quests. So there we go. So as it goes, it doesn't really seem like they've addressed the bugs that I specifically have run into. The only real game-breaking one was the getting stuck in the inn. Because I don't own a house yet to get stuck into. I'm just saving up for the house now. I've done everything else I wanted to do financially. But yeah, the rest of them, generally, you can fix by switching loadout, unencumbering yourself if it's to do with encumbrance, or fast traveling. But those getting stuck with no bits and bobs is definitely bad. One other thing that I sort of don't see really mentioned here. So we've had the mention about the leaving the area. What was it? Leaving the abandoning event. Sorry. Yeah. So issue where that shows up. So yeah, that was one thing, but quite a lot of the time in the first few days, my compass didn't track anything, not plants or wildlife, and not quests either. So I had to use the map manually to know whether I was going the right direction or not. That was quite annoying. Partly for the materials, because I've got to like 200 skin in now, so it's nice that I can see, right, oh yeah, there is a wolf there, it is wolves I need for this or whatever. I want leather, so yeah, just any animal will do. There's one here, but then when you get that taken away from you after you've earned it, it feels bad. So I want them to do something about that, and I would like them to do something about the attacks not registering, because it's an easy fix in terms of just switching weapons, but if you're middle of a fight and you've not got much health left and it's a high level enemy compared to you, that split second where you have to switch and can't do anything else but switch could be the point you get killed and miss out on some loot or something that you would have otherwise got. So I think it's important that they address that one as well. But that's everything I can think of. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you next time in the Underhive.